Today we are going to be bedazzling a little mini trick-or-treat pumpkin. Is this not the cutest thing you've ever seen? And what's special about this project is you can actually make it with me. I know the white box looks boring. I might order some stickers and whatnot, but I made little bedazzling kits for the little mini trick-or-treat pumpkins so you guys can bedazzle with me if you want to. And if you don't want to, you can just watch this video of me bedazzling. But I'm gonna go through the kit real quick. So you look inside this really white box and there will be gems already pre-counted out to however many gems you're gonna need to finish this. And then I think I'm just gonna add a few more just in case you're like me and you drop your gems a lot. So we have black and orange gems. Of course, your little trick-or-treat pumpkin. 2 little gem trays, 1 glue, and then a gem picker-upper. And that is the kit. I also bought these really cute little mini witch's cauldrons, which I kind of want to make a kit of that too. But I was told it was too boring. It needs more color. But I don't think so. I think it's really cute and I think it deserves its moment. So let me know if you would be interested in the witch's cauldrons. Now, originally the plan was to do the large trick-or-treat pumpkins. That was originally my plan. And I still might do that based on your guys' comments. But I got some feedback. I was told again that that's probably not a good idea. I think it's a good idea. I was told that it would take too much time, and this is a valid point. It would probably be really expensive. It would be kind of expensive because there would be so many gems that would need to go on this huge pumpkin. So I thought that was a really good idea, and that was originally my idea, to make huge trick-or-treat pumpkin kits. But we're starting small. All right, enough talk. Let's just get started bedazzling. This is actually really fun because potentially you guys are gonna be bedazzling with me. So I'm gonna explain things a little bit more thoroughly. Step 1, we need to figure out what's going on with our tools. This is our gem picker-upper. It has a pointy side and a waxy side. This is just how I do it, but I use the pointy side to, push into place my gems. If when I initially put them down, they didn't place properly, I'll push them over with the pointy side. I haven't found a better use for this side. There might be. But that's what I use this pointy side for. And then we have the waxy side, which is for picking up the gems themselves. Now, how do we want to pick up the gems? Well, we're gonna use our little triangles, our little gem trays, to help us pick up gems. But you want to pick them up with them facing upright. You want the shiny, colorful part upright, and you pick up that shiny, colorful part with your waxy little pen. Now, how do we get the gems to face upright if they're facing down? That's where our triangles come into play. These bad boys, these little gem trays, are used to 1, contain the gems, and then 2, we can actually shake them a bit. Shake the gems just lightly, and they will flip and turn. Now, it might take a few shakes. Doesn't always happen on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th try. It's a process. It's a process. Now, once we get our gems upright and we know how our pen works, we have one more thing we have to figure out before we can actually start placing gems, and that is the glue. Now, I usually use these huge bottles. That is like my preferred thing to bedazzle with. So if you're like going into this, not buying the kit, and you just want to buy a huge bottle because you want to bedazzle the world, get a huge bottle. But if you want to start small and get the kit, I included smaller glue. To open the glue, you unscrew the cap, you unscrew the other cap, flip the cap around to the pointy side, and puncture the top with the pointy side. Now that our glue's open, it's time to lay our first glue stripe. I don't know if that's the proper term, but I think you get what I mean. Our first little glue line. But where do we place it? Where are we placing our first glue line? Really, there's not many rules in bedazzling. You can just place the gems wherever. To be honest, there's no rules. But there is a certain way to make your edges look a little bit sharper. And that's simply by starting with your edges. See the circle at the top? I'm gonna outline the circle first. See the eyes, the mouth, the nose? After I'm done with the circle, I will outline those. Even like this bottom part, which is not exactly like a line, it's more of like an indent, I will work around that first to make it look a little bit more visually appealing. You don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. You can bedazzle which way you want to. One note about when you're placing a glue line, it cannot be too thick. Especially with these little tiny gems, it cannot be too thick. If you place a thick glue line, you're gonna get glue on your pen, and that's gonna affect how it picks up the gems. You don't really want glue in your pen. If you do get glue on your pen, wipe it off immediately. All right, so we know our line can't be too thick. What if it's too thin? If it is way too thin and the glue is barely there, it's gonna dry super fast, and odds are you're not gonna get a good stick on the gems, and they might fall off in the future. So it can't be too thick, but don't make it too thin. And also work in small little tiny areas so your glue doesn't end up drying. Before you start bedazzling, there's some helpful tips that future Michaela, who finished her pumpkin, that you can't see yet, but I just finished bedazzling the pumpkin, and here's some tips that I think are necessary that you should know before doing your pumpkin. Number 1, do not squeeze this glue too hard. A little tiny squeeze goes a long way. If you really pinch it and squeeze it, it will flow. It will flow out of this tube, and it will be way too much. So don't squeeze it. And that also applies to when the tube is closed as well. If you play with it and squeeze it and, you know, mess with the tube of glue, when you open it back up, it is gonna gush out like Niagara Falls. Let me show you for the sake of the video. So right now I'm like squeezing it. I'm squeezing it like a tube of toothpaste when you're trying to get out the last little bit. And watch what happens when I open it up. Look at that. Ah! Okay. Do you see what happened? Do you understand now? Another helpful tip, which kind of resembles the last tip, a little goes a long way when we're talking about picking up gems and the pressure you need to apply. It's just a little light pressure. You do not need to push down this pen into the gem. Trust me, bad things will happen. This is a waxy tip, right? Please focus. Please focus. This is a waxy tip, and it has a nice little point at the end. We want this point to stay intact, okay? We don't want to be messing around with a dull pen. And what happens when you press too hard on a gem to pick it up, or press too hard into the item you're bedazzling, the waxy tip becomes dull, and it's a little bit harder to work with. So a nice little tap when you're picking up and placing a gem is just perfect. The last tip I have for you guys has to do with these gem trays. When pouring gems into a gem tray, don't pour too much. You want to still see the bottom of the gem tray. What happens when you pour a lot is they become stacked on top of each other, and it's very hard to pick them up. If you can see the bottom, it's so much easier to pick them up and shake them out if they're facing the wrong way. Yeah, that's all the tips future Michaela has. Let's just get back into the video. Okay, so now that we've figured out all of our tools and how to place gems, it's time to actually bedazzle. Like I said, I like to work in lines, and there's many different lines you can follow on this. You could follow each vertical indent. You can follow the circle all the way down, or you could just go willy-nilly and just bedazzle wherever you want. Because like I said before, there's no rules. It's gonna look sparkly and shiny either way. Me personally, I wanna work with the vertical indents, except for where there's an opening or where there's cutouts, then I will follow the line of that cutout or that opening.
Now it is finally time to put everything together. I am first starting off with placing down my gem trays and then emptying my orange gems and my black gems into the trays. And then I open up my glue and quickly put the cap on before a lot of glue can spill out. And like I said before, you can really bedazzle in any way you want. You can place your gems wherever you want, but I am starting with the edges just to make it look clean. Now, this whole project took me around 3 hours, and it might take you a little less time if you're faster than me bedazzling, because I do kind of take my time, make sure everything was placed exactly where I want it. Or you might be slower than me, which is definitely okay. I think a lot of people find bedazzling kind of therapeutic. It's something you can really just zone out and mindlessly do. So if it's taking you a long time to do and you actually genuinely enjoy the process of bedazzling, don't pressure yourself to finish super fast. There's definitely some days where I really, really enjoy bedazzling, and there's some days where I'm just not feeling it. So sometimes I'll stop in the middle of a project and just leave it for a day where I'm feeling more inspired to bedazzle. So if you start one day and you're really, really loving it, and you come back another day and you're just not feeling it, just know that is completely normal. Everybody has their days when they want to zone out and just bedazzle, and other days where they're just not feeling it. But I will say bedazzling is not for the weak. This project requires you to individually place around 1,500 little gems. And from start to finish, it will take 3 hours of solid bedazzling time. It will feel so great when it's accomplished, but if you're one of those people who start things and don't usually finish them, I don't know if this project's for you because it's a lot of little mini gems. But if you are up for the challenge and do buy the kit and do end up finishing it, it is kind of a humble brag to anybody who ever sees this bedazzled piece. Anyways, here is me placing the final gem in our trick-or-treat pumpkin, and here is the final product. I wanted to see what kind of things it would hold, so I put some pens in it, as well as some makeup items, and it honestly held everything really well. I was impressed.
Honestly, I think this turned out so cute. I love it to pieces. I think I'm gonna put little mini Snicker bars inside of it and put it by my bed so I can eat a Snickers when I wake up. Or maybe Kit Kats, I don't know, I have to decide. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you liked seeing the bedazzling process. If you've been bedazzling along with me, I hope it was a really great experience. Let me know if you guys like this type of video, like the bedazzling kits if you got one, and I hope to see you in the next video.